Sheridan, what's wrong?
I was there. I was in the living room.
It's okay. You're okay.
Where am I?
You're in your cottage. You're having that dream about that night, weren't you?
My hands, they were covered in blood again. Oh, my God, Ethan.
It's just a nightmare. You're all right. It's okay.
Why won't it go away? Why can't I stop thinking about that night?
You will.
After all these years, and it still haunts me.
Shh.
Why can't I believe what Julian's telling me? If it is just a dream, if it's all in my head, it shouldn't be like this for me. Should I believe him, Ethan? Should I believe what he's telling me?
And I'm having Krawczyk take another look at our bank in Frankfurt.
You're telling me things I already know. Sheridan, I want to know about Sheridan. The situation with her means a hell of a lot more than any business deal right now.
I understand, Father. Like I told you last night, she's coming around slowly but surely.
Make it faster and definitely. I don't have to tell you what hinges on her believing that night never happened, that it was all a nightmare.
I realize what's at stake.
She'd better not cause any trouble, Julian.
I don't believe she will.
The family can't afford a scandal. We can't have the police sticking their noses into the Cranes' private affairs. Is that understood?
Yes, perfectly.
Mama, I know I've asked you this before. And I'm sorry to ask you again, but if there's anything at all about Papa's disappearance, no matter how small, that you haven't told me yet.
Luis, what is it? Why have you been asking me so many questions recently about your father?
Well, you know I've always felt that Papa abandoned us.
I don't believe that. I don't believe he's dead either.
Well, something happened, and I want to know what. I asked Sam to look into it.
But the police already did a thorough investigation.
Yeah, well, that was years ago. There's more advanced technology now, things that can help us find out the truth about what happened to Papa. Now, Sam promised me that he'd use all the department's resources. He put out an APB. We should find out something soon.
Oh, Luis.
What is it, Mama? You're not afraid of what we'll find, are you?
There you are, Tabitha. Timmy was worried.
If you were so worried about me, why did I find you snoring away on the couch when I got back here last night?
Timmy was wiped out. Timmy had a run-in with Fluffy outside the Bennett's house.
Well, I had a run-in with Charity and that damn angel inside the Bennett's house. And I think that's rather more relative to our future existence, don't you, Timmy?
Now Charity will reveal your true evil.
That's the evil.
It was the angel that set up those tiles to spell out my name.
Timmy's worried. How can you fight something that floats around like starlight?
I'll have to work very, very hard, Timmy, but I'll do it, I assure you. I shudder to think what would have happened if I hadn't knocked over that table. If anyone had seen my name on those tiles. You know, Timmy, it's only a matter of time before Charity knows about me. The forces are with her, even if she doesn't know it yet. She's very, very dangerous.
She lives right next door.
Yes, we'll have to be careful. Can you imagine what would happen if Charity came snooping around here?
Charity, good morning.
Morning. Where's everyone?
Well, your Aunt Grace is next door at her arts and crafts store, and Kay and Jessica on the way to school.
Why didn't anyone wake me up?
Well, we figured after what happened last night, you could probably use a good night's sleep. I mean, we're really concerned about you.
Oh, I'm fine now. I wish I could remember what happened. I cannot figure out why I got so upset during the game. I mean, I really can't remember anything at all.
You don't remember what you spelled out that made you so upset?
No.
Look, don't worry. It'll come back to you.
I'm really sorry for ruining the game and upsetting everyone. Especially that nice lady from next door.
Tabitha. Yeah, she was concerned about you. I mean, we all were. But look, things are going to settle down for you, I promise. Pretty soon you're going to get your memory back. You're going to be as good as new, ready to go. What you need right now is a little patience and a lot of rest. All right? Look, I got to get to work. If you need me for anything, I want you to call. My number to the station's on the fridge, along with Aunt Grace's number to the shop.
Okay, I'm gonna be fine.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
See ya.
Bye. Tabitha. It's one thing for the family to forgive me, but Tabitha's not family. I really should apologize to her. She's been so kind to me through all this.
I would hold the hand of the one who could lead me places, and kiss the lips of the one who could sing so sweet. And I would fly on the wings of the bird I knew could take me highest. Breathe in, breathe out. You keep me alive. You are the fire burning inside of me. You are my passion for life.
Tabitha, look what Timmy found.
Where did you find that?
Well, Timmy got a little bored last night waiting for you to come home.
Oh, yes, and so you were snooping around in my closet again, weren't you? Remember I told you to keep your mitts off my fur boa.
Timmy was just looking. Timmy thinks it's a very good likeness. It catches his princess exotic charm.
I hate that painting. That painting will haunt me for the rest of my unnatural life. And one day, it will destroy me. Oh, it's me. Oh, I always hated those hats. So unattractive. Now, berries. I look great in berries. Tabitha, forget the hats. Got to get rid of this picture before Sam and Grace come back. But how? I know nothing about computers. Oh, think, Tabitha. Think. Please, Hello, Faith. You thought you could run away from me, didn't you?
Oh my God! It's you!
Yes, of course it's me. And I'm going to get you. And then your Put that painting back where you found it, Timmy. If anyone ever sees it, Tabby and Timmy will be in big trouble. Do you hear me? I'll never be able to explain it. I'll be finished.
Timmy won't say a word.
Fortunately, all the copies of it were burned in the fire. But for all we know, Faith could have shown Charity a copy. Oh, can you imagine what would happen if that meddlesome brat ever saw it? That girl has powers lurking within her, ready to strike at any minute. And this painting could be just the thing that would wake them up. So go on, Timmy. Put it back where you found it right now. I'm going in the garden to cut some herbs.
I just don't get why you'd be upset with me for wanting to know the truth, Mama.
I am not upset, Grace. And I'm not afraid of what you'll find. I want the police to investigate. Believe me, I want to know the truth as much as you do. I know that there's a reason why Martin didn't come home that night.
Well, at first you thought he was just working late?
Yeah, but it just was so unlike him not to call me. He'd let me know if he'd be home late. He was a considerate man. He was a good father and a good husband.
When did you start to worry?
By midnight, I just felt something was wrong.
And you told me you tried to call him at work.
But he wasn't there. I stayed up the whole night, and in the morning I called the police. They investigated, but they came up with nothing. No trace of Martin Fitzgerald.
People don't just vanish into thin air.
No. Sometimes I wonder if maybe he struck his head or had an accident and doesn't remember who he is. Maybe he's out there, somewhere, a lost soul wandering around.
And Papa had a wallet? ID? I mean, even if it was lost or stolen, by this time someone would have figured out who he was or where he came from. Now, there's an answer. And whatever that answer is, I'll bet that the Cranes figure in on it.
Luis, the police never found any evidence that the Cranes were involved with Martin's disappearance.
Well, maybe not yet, but we will. And then I'm gonna nail him.
Oh, I just wish you would just put aside this hatred that you have for the Cranes.
Not till I find out once and for all what happened. Look, I want to see if Sam dug up anything. I'm gonna get to the station, okay?
Sheridan, we're going to get through this.
I'm not going mad, am I, Ethan?
Of course not.
It's terrible to think that I can't trust my own brother. But how can I believe Julian's story of what happened that night?
I have to say, if anyone but my father would have said your story about the body and the bloody hands was a dream, I'd believe them.
So you don't trust him either?
I've begun to realize that my father may not be the man I once thought he was. He has some pretty bizarre notions of morality and truth.
So what are you saying? I shouldn't trust him?
No, I want you to believe him. I don't think you could kill someone, Sheridan. There's no way.
I want to believe that, Ethan. It seems so real.
Look, I was in the house. I was upstairs in bed. I mean, I heard you scream, but I didn't see anything.
Wait a minute.
What?
If you heard me screaming,
Yes?
why didn't you come to me that night?
I don't... It's not something I couldn't tell you.
Ethan, you know something. What? Ethan, tell me. Why didn't you come to me that night? Ethan, if you heard me screaming that night, why didn't you come to me?
I didn't come to you that night because it wasn't the first time I heard you scream.
What?
There were other nights. I guess I just got used to it. And you'd scream, I'd come and find you in bed or sleep on the living room couch.
I don't remember those nights.
I do. And I remember them very well. It was awful. I hated seeing you suffer like that.
But you never told me. No one did. Why?
I was told not to tell you. I was a kid. I was a few years younger than you. I didn't question my parents or grandfather Alistair. They told me it was better not to remind you since you didn't remember anyway.
You know what this means, don't you?
No, what?
If I screamed on other nights, then my memory of the body is not as definite as it is in my mind. I mean, how could I have found a body every time I screamed?
That's why I have to say my father could be telling the truth. It's just another nightmare.
Oh, Ethan, I want to believe that. My life would be so much easier.
Believe it then. Sheridan, what else do you have?
I don't want to lie to myself. I can't.
I understand.
There are just too many questions about that night. Nothing makes sense. Why, after so many nightmares and so many times of screaming, why did I wake up that night? I remember so specifically that I had blood on my hands and a body under a sheet was put into a coffin.
We'll solve this, Sheridan, I swear.
And then what? What if we find that there was a body?
It doesn't seem possible. You and I went to the newspaper morgue recently and checked the old newspapers. There was no account of a body being found or a murder happening in Harmony during that time period. Hold on a second.
What?
Of course.
Tell me, Ethan.
The coffin.
What about it?
Where could our family find a coffin on such short notice?
The funeral parlor. The one the family always does business with.
It has to be on the records.
Ethan, I don't know if I would want to find out if a coffin was delivered to the house that night. I mean, if there was, then that would make me a murderer.
If you want to scrap this idea, it's fine with me, but I can't think of any way else to...
No. Let me go change. I want to go to the funeral home. I have to know the truth, no matter what it is.
I can't accurately say what's going through my sister's mind, but she seems to have bought the story. I don't see her causing trouble. In fact, I'm quite certain that she won't. There's absolutely no reason for the police to become involved.
I can't accurately say. She seems to have... Damn it, Julian, my anxiety is not going to be assuaged by your gut instinct and unsubstantiated observations. I want facts.
What do you want me to do?
Describe what she's been up to. Has she inquired further about that night?
Well, she's been having conversations with Ethan, but you know how close they are.
What have they been discussing?
I'm not sure. Ethan seems determined to help her.
That boy of yours is smart, Julian. He's got that sharp, legal mind. You've got to stay at least 2 steps ahead of him at all times. Find out what's on his mind. Figure out what he's going to do next and take care of it. Close the book on what happened that night before it gets out of hand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. Perfectly.
Anything?
No John Doe's fitting Martin's description.
Doesn't surprise me. I never thought it was foul play. I just thought my father took off and never bothered to come home.
I mean, but why? I mean, Pilar said he was a good husband, devoted father. I mean, why would he want to run off?
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Not on the face of it, no.
Well, who knows? You know, maybe there were secrets that my mother didn't know about. Maybe he had to disappear.
Well, it's a big country. If you want to hide, you can definitely find a place. But the real question is, why would he want to hide?
If I knew that, I'd know everything.
Guess that's why we're here.
Yeah, I do remember overhearing the phone conversation that my father had with Alistair Crane the night before he vanished.
Well, it's definitely something.
Yeah, they were arguing. I couldn't make out the words, but the conversation was very tense. I mean, I remember that distinctly.
Well, who called who?
Alistair called my father.
Strange, don't you think?
What?
That the head of a corporation would make a personal phone call to one of his workers?
Yeah. I always thought it was strange, too. Cranes don't usually associate with us common folk.
Nah. There's got to be more to it than that.
Yeah. The Cranes know, but they won't say.
Couldn't be Tabitha. Why would Princess knock? And besides, she went out the back door.
Tabitha?
Charity! What will Timmy do? Think, Timmy, think.
Tabitha? Hello? Are you here? I wanted to talk to you.
Big trouble, Tabitha. Capital T, trouble.
No luck, huh?
Well, the inventory records on this disc don't show anything unusual. I'll have to try another one.
You're Mr. Ethan Crane, right?
Yes, sir. And you are?
Henry DeBlanc. I run the place.
Well, it's good to meet you. This is my aunt, Sheridan Crane.
Pleasure, Miss Crane. My assistant said that you were checking inventory files. Is there anything I can help you with?
No, I have all the files I need. You cover a lot of ground.
Yes, they go back quite a few years. We had them put on the computer about 5, 6 years ago. The files, that is. Hence, we've been burying cranes here for over 100 years now. See, my grandfather was a funeral director here for many years. He used to tell me stories when I was a child.
Wait a minute. According to this, you have a coffin some years ago that was unaccounted for.
Unaccounted for when?
About the same time as that night.
What's that?
Nothing. You have a coffin missing in your inventory right there. What do you think happened to it?
Oh, what do you know? I don't know. I have no idea what happened there, no.
Well, you think you could check it out for us?
Well, certainly, Mr. Crane. No problem.
If the family had bought that coffin, then it wasn't a nightmare. It was real.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Crane, but there's something very important I need to talk to you about.
Yes?
It's about Sheridan.
Go on.
I hope you don't feel that I'm overstepping my boundaries, but I feel very close to Sheridan.
Oh, I know.
Almost as if she were my own daughter.
Just tell me what you want to say, Pilar.
It's about that night. It's been on Sheridan's mind, consuming her in a way. She's increasingly upset.
What do you know about that night, Pilar?
Oh, very little. As you know, I wasn't there. All I know is what I was told the next day, that she had had a horrible nightmare. And the same day, Mr. Allister sent her to France.
What choice did he have? You know, she needed professional help. She was hysterical. She wouldn't calm down. You know how emotional she was even as a child. But yes, it was just a nightmare.
Oh, I don't doubt that it was a nightmare, Mr. Crane. I know Sheridan is totally incapable of killing someone.
Oh, of course she couldn't. It was all in her head.
And I don't doubt you, Mr. Crane. But Sheridan is desperate for the truth.
I've told her the truth. The whole thing never happened.
Please, if there's anything that Sheridan needs to know about that night, you must tell her. Whatever it is, she has a right to know. It's something that she needs to deal with.
I thought you said you didn't doubt me, Pilar.
Oh, it doesn't matter what I believe. All that matters is what Sheridan believes. What you tell her could have a lot to do with her future. Please, don't keep the truth from her simply to avoid scandal.
I must say, Pilar, I really don't like what you're insinuating.
I'm only thinking about Sheridan. Please, a lie could wreck her entire life. It's already caused her enough pain.
Yes. Yes. Interesting. Well, I appreciate your call.
I know that maybe I was...
Cut this short. Something very pressing has come up that I must attend to immediately. Damn, forget to...
Well, does Pilar know anything about the phone call that Alistair Crane made to your father?
No, she said she didn't hear it.
Why would Alistair Crane call your father? I mean, was he doing something special for the Cranes?
If he was, he never mentioned it to any of us.
I suppose it could be a coincidence.
It's pretty hard to believe it was a coincidence that Alistair called the house. Then he had an argument with my father, and
the next day he was missing. You're right.
No, I believe that the truth lies somewhere in the Crane mansion.
You gotta be careful, Luis. Don't do anything rash.
I won't.
You gotta gather the facts before you start throwing around accusations. The Cranes are very powerful, very influential.
I'm not afraid of them.
I know you're not, Luis. I'm just telling you, they're dangerous. You can't take the Cranes for granted.
Sam, I mean, if my instincts are telling me that the truth lies with the Cranes, how am I supposed to ignore them?
Because that's what good policemen do. It's a healthy balance, Luis. Sufficient evidence and a gut feeling. And right now, you've only got one of them.
Taking off?
Yeah, you good here?
Be okay.
Call me if you need anything.
I will.
Tabitha? Tabitha?
It's all over. Timmy and Tabitha are dead.
Tabitha?
It's all over now.
Ethan, if a coffin was delivered that night to the mansion, then that has to mean it wasn't a dream.
We can't be sure until we gather the facts.
That means that there was a body under a sheet, that there was blood on my hands, and Julian is lying.
Let's wait and see, Sheridan.
Ethan, what am I going to do? What if that night really did happen just as I remember?
Well, forget about it.
Forget about it?
Listen to me, Sheridan. It happened a long time ago. What can we do about it? Nothing.
Ethan, I don't think I can just forget about it. I mean, not now, not after all that I've been through since I've come back from Paris. And if there was a coffin, a body, I can't live like that, not until I know who it was that I killed.
Look, don't say that, Sheridan.
There was blood on my hands, Ethan. Did I commit murder? Am I a murderer?
You're jumping to conclusions. We have to rely on what we know.
If there was a coffin delivered to the mansion that night, then I have opened a Pandora's box that I may never be able to close.
Yes, I have the information you requested.
Tabitha must not be home.
Rat's going to be the death of me, I can tell you. I can't take much more of it. It's going to destroy me. I've got to find a way to get rid of that brat once and for all, and fast.
Tabitha?
Oh, Charity, what? What a lovely surprise. You really put a scare into me last night. Are you all right now?
What brat do you have to get rid of?
What?
Well, you said you had to find a way to get rid of that brat.
Oh, did you think I said brat? Oh, dear, no. I said rat. Rat, not brat.
But I'm sure that
you know these old houses. Rats seem to love them. And I've got a big one in the attic.
You do?
Yes, yes. Big as an aardvark.
That's terrible.
Yes, nothing I can do seems to get rid of it. I'm going to have to take extraordinary measures.
What's the matter, Tabitha?
Well?
Well, what?
The casket?
Oh, yes.
Was it delivered to the Crane mansion?
No.
No, but the computer inventory shows that it was.
Yes, that information was entered incorrectly. You know, these things happen. Not often, but they happen.
Well, what happened?
Well, a workman scratched and dented the side of it.
In your dream, was the wood scratched or dented on the coffin?
No, it was in perfect shape, I remember. In fact, it was metal.
This particular coffin was made of wood, I remember.
Are you absolutely sure?
Yes, that's quite sure. Positive, in fact. May I ask what this is all about?
Oh, it's nothing important. A small family matter.
Ah, I see.
We'd appreciate it if you keep this quiet, not mention this to anyone, even to my father.
Well, yes, sir, Mr. Crane. Mom's the word. Absolutely.
Thank you for all your help.
Oh, please don't mention it. I was happy to be of assistance.
Coast clear?
Good Lord.
What the hell's the matter with you, Henry?
You shouldn't sneak up on someone like that, Mr. Crane. Especially not someone who works in a place like this.
Get over it, Henry. This should cover the cost of the phone call you made to me. If I hadn't known those two were here, I could be facing a lot of unnecessary problems.
Anything to be of assistance, Mr. Crane?
Something else I want you to do for me, Henry.
Anything, Mr.
I
Crane?
want you to erase all copies of this disc, all existing files. Now, you were told years ago to not keep any records on that coffin.
Yeah, yes, sir. I don't know what happened.
Well, make sure it doesn't happen again.
It won't, sir.
Because you, better than anyone, Henry, should understand just how fragile and fleeting life can be. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Mr. Crane. Very clear.
What's wrong, Mama?
Oh, Luis.
Did someone die?
Your father. He's gone.
What?
He didn't come home.
Where did he go?
I don't know.
When is he coming back?
I don't know. He may never come back.
Don't cry, Mama. I'll take care of you. I'll protect you.
Oh, my God. What are we going to do?
I'll take care of you and the family now. I'll take care of all of us.
Oh, please.
What is it, Tabitha?
Oh, nothing. I just could have sworn I saw one of those bloody rats. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it was, it got away.
Tabitha.
Yes, dear.
I wanted to come over here today to apologize for acting so upset during the game yesterday.
Oh, dear. Don't bother about that at all.
It's just that ever since the fire, my mother... I just haven't been myself, that's all.
No, of course you haven't. You've been through so much.
And, you know, it's just the strangest things upset me. I really can't figure it out.
Have you any idea what upset you last night?
Well, I think it must have been the game tiles. Or at least that's what Kay and, you know, Miguel told me, but I really don't remember at all.
Well, why would the tiles upset you?
It must have been what they spelled out.
And do you know what they spelled out?
No, I really can't remember. I wish I could, but I don't know.
Well, it's only a game, right?
Right.
Well, I think the best thing you can do is just forget all about it. You just go home and relax and think about other things.
You're right.
Yes, of course I'm right. And you remember, if there's anything you need... Oh, I'll just put that aside, dear.
This picture. This picture.
So, what do you think, Ethan?
Well, there's no proof the coffin was in the mansion, and there's no evidence of a body under the sheet. I'd have to believe, in light of the facts that we've gathered, that no murder had ever been committed.
Could it finally be over? Am I finally free to live my life?
What's that?
What?
Look. There's a police car at the mansion. I wonder what's going on.
Officer Fitzgerald Lopez.
Lopez Fitzgerald.
Well, whatever. I don't believe we have an appointment.
You're right, we don't. I want to ask you a few questions, Mr. Crane.
I'm a very busy man. You can call my secretary.
No, I need to talk to you now.
Well, whatever it is can wait.
No, it can't.
What is this about?
I want to ask you a few questions about a missing person, Mr. Crane.
How's Princess going to get out of this one?
Just a dusty old thing, really. Always falling off the hook. You can see the frame is absolutely ravaged by time.
This painting... It's
time has come. You're so right, dear. To the trash heap once and for all. Now, it was so nice of you to visit.
Wait. I remember this painting.
If you do remember, you're one